Marama ai, marama ai. Marama ai, he ki hua tamarau mai I te awa nui a rangi, ki te awa nui a nuku o rongo uiro. Te aitanga āriki o te kāhui ao me te kāhui maunga. Mana no runga, mana no raro. He mana ki te tangata. Te tangata rangi o te raukura, te tangata whenua, te puia ta arangi, te tangata moana o toko maru. E rongo, kia rongo, whakiri ake ki runga. Tutu whakamaua ka tīna, tīna, huia rangi, huia papa, huie, tai ki. Ana te mihi ake ki a koutou, e mā taki ana e whakarongorongo ake, ki tēnei kiri atu. Ko hoane ere wata toku ingoa, ko au te te o ngā tangata whenua, o tēnei rohe o te Aotearoa. Anei toku kōrero, te pāna ki te pakanga tuatahi I te wā o ngā mātua tūpuna ki te British, ko te Kohia, te whenua, ko te Kohia, te pātū wata, te pātū wero. Tēnei te mihi kia koutou katoa. Ngā tamariki o ngā kura tuatahi me ngā kura tuaru. Greetings to you all who are listening and who are taking part in this historic moment on this particular event to do with the first battle of the Taranaki New Zealand Wars. And we're on the land at the moment. This land is part of where the first Pātū Wata, a defensive site called Te Kohia stood. It doesn't stand here anymore, but we can talk about it and you as students can also learn about it. So my name is Hoani Irawata and I'm here to share this knowledge with you all. Where I'm going to start with this particular history lesson is to do with the leader of this area of Te Aotearoa, and his name was Tarangi Tāake. Tarangi Tāake was probably the last supreme leader of this particular area of about 4 iwi in the North Taranaki district. And he grew up at a time around about 1795. He grew up in a time where these new immigrants, I call them immigrants, that arrived from a set of islands in the northern hemisphere called Great Britain. And these people also were adventurous and were able to create ocean-going vessels. So they had arrived here. Tarangi Tāake with his father and also with his mother, they had signed the Treaty of Waitangi. His father, when he passed away, and before he passed away, had asked his son to take care of the land in Waitara. So Tarangi Tāake decided to move the people back from Waikanae after taking care of the northern part of Wellington, where most of other Te Aotearoa were living, and decided to come and return back to Waitara, where he was born, and set up their farming business, which was doing very well. Most of their produce was sent overseas to Australia and to New Plymouth and other parts of Aotearoa. And because he had signed the Treaty of Waitangi, he knew of his rights. But unfortunately at that time, the settlement in New Plymouth was expanding, with more immigrants arriving from the southern part of England. And they required more land. And of course, the main land they really would like to have was down below in the Waitara Valley. Most river valleys, of course, are naturally fertile. And also, I think these new settlers were looking at also creating a harbour at the mouth of the Waitara River. So there was a need and a demand from these new people. Te Rangitaki was aware of it, so he knew that he had to deal with something. And what I call it is, especially for young students, is to compare it to the bully in the playground. Most children will need to deal with bullying, and that is also to do with war. So for when you're a child, you have to deal with a bully. You've only got 3 ways of dealing with the bully. You either face that bully, knowing you could lose, or otherwise you run away, or otherwise you decide to be that person's friend, to have an association. And that's what happened here in Waitara. At that sort of children's level. But at an adult's level, it's more serious. So, to do with war, there's 2 groups, and one group is armed. And otherwise, it's there to take over and prepared to kill people who are on that land. Because to control people, you need to take out their defense, their security system, which was mainly men. So you take out the men. And then from there, you'll be able to take over the women and the children and be able to take over the land. That's how colonisation has worked for a very long time in Europe, and that's how it's going to happen here. That is the reality, and that's what was faced by the supreme leader of Te Ātiawa Te Rangitaki. He was a diplomat type of leader. He wasn't nurtured in the art of war, but he had decided to get one of his military commanders, and that was Hapurona. Hapurona mother was from Pukirangi Ora, one of the hapu of this area, but his father was from Ngāti Haupoto, which is where Parihaka is now. And this particular person was educated in the art of war. What Te Rangitaki and Hapurona had decided to do was that by early March, they knew that the British wanted the land in Waitara. Te Rangitaki was probably the first leader to get the woman to pull out the survey pegs. He was resisting, and I could call passive resistance, but it started here first. Around about March the 15th, I think they had decided, they had already constructed a park as a kitset, probably over in the Pukiruru area where the cemetery is, down by the hill. And so they had set that up and then quickly brought it over here in this area, which was very close to the main road between New Plymouth and Waitara at that time. And of course that's the Devon Road. So they had built that almost overnight, and which created a problem for the colonial governor, who was Thomas Robert Gore Brown. By March the 17th, the British had decided to declare war, and so the first shots were fired over in an area called Ngāpara. Looking at March the 17th, 1860, is when the first battle of the Taranaki British will start here and just above the Waitara Valley in this area. So there's been some surveys over here. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to reconstruct that particular part. So it's an L-shaped part, 2 lines of defences of 2 wata. It had trenching inside. So it was quite unusual type of pa, because like I said before, it was built somewhere else and prefabricated, brought here in this area so that the British could see it and they saw it as a threat. And so on March 17, 1860, Governor Gordon Brown had declared war. On the nation of Ngāti Okay, Ngāti So it started in the morning. There were 3 lots of bombardments. One, like I said before, was from Ngāpara, which is further back there. Second one, they came closer. And then the third one, they had completely surrounded on the south side and north side of this particular part. Okay, there was a bombardment for most of the day, but at the end of the day, the number of warriors, between 50 to 80 maybe warriors, were inside this particular part, but they had disappeared, even though they were surrounded. And the only casualties who died in this particular battle were 2 British soldiers. And one of the casualties, what happened is that at this particular power site, there was a red flag, quite a big, huge red flag, and that had fallen over. And so this particular young militia teenager decided to go and grab that flag, and as he turned around he got shot in the back and he later died of his wounds. His descendants had farms in the Huarangi area. So that was the beginning, and we're talking about this particular battle. It was only a one-day wonder, and at the end of the day, it probably left the British quite frustrated because of the strategy of Te Rangitake and Hapuronga. They really weren't just used to attacking a particular area and then the people disappearing.
Kia pua ho whitirei a te kura mātoi kia tau te mauri roto I te aio. Aio mā nahanaha, aio mā rokiroki, aio mā koha. Aio tumutumu parea rā kau parea. Kia wātea te ara, kia mahea te ara, kia māmā te ara, kia mārama te ara. Tōku.
Te Kohia, why it was named that is a very good point. The core was a type of gardening instrument for digging the grounds. So te kohia is the excavation, I guess. It's a nice way of translating. So it's the excavation, and still to be excavated. And things will also happen here later on. Under the mana of Te Rangitake and under the mana of Te Atiawa. Kia ora.